Hey, this is Brian with Window Repair TV, and today we're just going to go over how we assemble our window jam liners. So if you buy the balances from us, or if you buy the liners, or if you buy the complete set, you can figure out how to either replace the balances or just kind of give an idea of how these things work. Each set is going to come with a balance, with a complete left and a right, with the appropriate balances to the length, the correct angle cut, and we're just going to go over how we make that. Okay, so on these liners there is a lip on one side, so you can see here it's only on one side. So that lip is always supposed to be on the outside of the window. So this is when we make our angle cut, this is very important to make sure we cut at the right angle. So whenever you have a liner, it's always going to be with the lip is always going to be the longest cut, or the longest point. And this is what I mean is how on one side of your liner it's going to be a square cut, on the other side it's going to be a typically a 15-degree angle cut, and you always want to have that lip on the outside. So what gets a little confusing is when you have a left and a right hand in setting up your saw one time, but it can be done. So if this liner's set up this way, I'm going to have to bring my angle cut so to 15 degrees, and to make sure that this is the longest point. Now once I do that, I'm going to take the measurement for the liner I'm making, which needs to be 54 3/8. What I do is I just flip over my liner, hook on to the longest point, mark 54 3/8. So I like to do the back side, just that way it doesn't mark up your liner. So now once you mark it, you're going to move your saw to 0 degree. You're going to set up your stop. That way you only have to set it up one time per size. And then I just double check, make sure my cut is on where I want it to be. If I need to readjust it, I can come back over. I keep my hand on the material so it doesn't move, and then I just slightly move it over to what I think it needs to be. Now I know it's straight and where we want it. So now we can cut the square cut. And I always double check after at least the first cut, right where we want it to be. So now what we call this is, you could call a right hand, because the point is going to be on this liner's on the right side of the window, looking from inside. So now if you want to use the same stop and not have to change anything, all you got to do after you do all of your cuts for the left side or right side, you're going to flip this over and get your angle. So there's a couple ways. There's two ways you can do it, but for me the easiest is just to flip the material over so the liner, the lip is on the other side. So you're going to put it at 15 degrees again. And you don't have to flip it over, but you just have to make sure this is on 0. Bump it up to your stop. And you have a left and a right. Same length. Normally I'd bring this over to the table, but I'm just going to leave it here just so I can show. So I don't have to move all the lights and everything. But what we're going to do is put foam on the back. If the liner already comes with foam, you don't have to do this. So on the foam, you want to have this white piece on the outside, always on the longest point or where the lip is. This just helps keep the weather from coming in. Alright. So I did the initial cut here to get the angle. It doesn't have to be perfect. Be careful when you spray this adhesive. This is just a spray adhesive that we use. You don't want it to get everywhere. It becomes a mess to clean up. Remember, the point goes and the white goes on the longest side. Just put down the foam. That's all you gotta do, put the foam on. Now, the last step is going to be installing the balance. This Jambliner calls for our Series 700 Jambliner balance. You can see the profile here. It's got a little groove here. And that just slides into the track. Each liner, we have to install these short and long S-clips. Okay. So you have to hook the clip onto the rivet like that. And the reason why you have a short and a long one is because there's the upper and the lower sash in your double hung window. The short ones are kind of a pain to get in compared to the long ones. So the long spring balance is always installed in the short side of the liner. Okay, so you always want to have this, what we call the knife, sticking towards the inside of the house. So that angle is always going to be, or that point, the knife's always going to be pointed to the inside. So installing these can be kind of tricky, and this also shows you where that groove is, where it goes in this shoe here on this side. But all I do is hold it up here, put my thumb down on that metal knife, and just hold it down. You got to be careful because there's tension on that spring or on that shoe. You just slide it down where this hooks on there. Each liner comes with a hardware set, and these are what we call sash stops. So these you just put in up top here. This prevents the sash from jamming into the top of the window. And so on the outside we do the same thing. Knife pointing towards the inside of the window. Hold down. I pull back and then realign so that it lines into the track. And then just slide it in. Just have to make sure this hooks on that edge there. And then you install the stop at the bottom for the upper sash. Like that. So this is a complete right side jamliner balance. As you can see here, this is a left and a right. So this is what it will look like. And thanks again for stopping by Window Repair TV. On a weekly basis, we're going to be uploading new videos to go over different window repair questions and window repair needs. Also, if you're interested in jamliners or you have other questions about different window parts, we're going to have links in the description for jamliners and then just balances and everything else that you guys need. Any questions, just leave a comment below. We look forward to helping you.